Deborah, with her 30 years of being an entrepreneur and creating over 7 companies, knows exactly what it means to accept the mission. When you make that decision, when you accept the mission to become a solopreneur, to take yourself and your talents to market, then you embrace a life of not only unlimited possibilities, but also the unknown. It's an elixir of fear and bravery that only someone who's taken the leap really understands. On our show, Deb digs deep with her guests to highlight what you, the listener, wants to know. The stories, the whys, and the hows to navigate the journey to success. Get ready to hear from some of the most incredible mission takers from Generation Z to Boomers. So sit up, perk up, and get ready to be blown away. Now here is your host, Deborah Drummond.
Welcome back to Mission Accepted, and you guys are in for a treat. I know I say that every week, but there is something very special about our guest, beyond special about our guest today. Never mind that we showed up, and I know for you listeners, you're not watching, you should check that out sometime because we actually are on other parts of the world and we dress the same today. So that tells you that we're in sync. If you've never been to Mission Accepted podcast, please know that you are welcomed. Thank you so much for showing up today. You chose a good day. Something is here for you. I truly believe that. I always believe we're at the right place at the right time. So you're here with us today to hear something that Anita has to share with you. And if you haven't been here, what is Mission Accepted? I've had a lot of people ask me that, even though I spent a lot of time trying to figure out the best name to describe what it is us entrepreneurs, creatives of media do. So what we do is we have a decision. We make a decision. It usually happens on the inside before on the outside, even though we may have gone to the outside to go, do you think I should do this? Oh my God, or do a business plan or not do a business plan, or have your back against the wall, or have your girlfriend talk you into business, or, your partner says, I'm going to start a business. And somehow that meant you are too. So anyways, it's a mission, it's a decision. And then you decide to go for it. You go for the gumption. Okay, here it is. We're going to talk to Anita today. And she is a very, how can I say, when I think of her, I want to put her into the category of creative, except she is an incredible pioneer. So look, you guys know that I've been in business for 31 years. Me and Anita could have tea together because she did as well. And that's really interesting. This show is everything from Gen Zs to double boomers. And so we're just somewhere in between. But the bottom line is, there was no internet, people. There was no internet. I remember going and photocopying flyers at the local photocopy shop and putting them on lampposts for marketing, right? There really was not a lot of entrepreneurs getting together, networking groups, that kind of thing. So I'm really going to ask Anita what it was that got her up and going. But she's got an interesting story, and I don't want to tell you too much, but this woman is a profound coach. She's a profound business advisor, and she's going to tell us why one of the arenas that she is well sought after is in the arena of coaching people with dyslexia. So Anita, welcome to Mission Accepted. Thank you so much. I know it's later there in beautiful London. So thank you for letting us come into the end of your day. Welcome to Mission.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I love how we met, because we met in the new world. We met in the new world of social, and we got together, and I love how that happens. I just think vibe does vibe, which is AKA why we're dressed the same. And so this woman is clearly a servant leader. And when I was talking to her, I knew that very much to be true. So Anita, when people find out that you didn't learn to read until you were 35, yet you are a profound, successful coach, you must hear every day, all day, what? So
Definitely.
Please share with us your story of your pioneering business.
So yes, like you say, I'm a coach. I coach business entrepreneurs and dyslexic entrepreneurs. And the thing is, it's a case of when I went to school, I just did not get the understanding of what it's all about. It didn't make sense to me. And at that time, a number of years ago, nobody really knew what dyslexia was in my time. And I was sent off to the special needs class, the famous special needs class. And to be honest, there was a group of us. We used to just chit chat, and then that was it. No learning was even done in that lesson. And it was quite amazing, actually, where we're supposed to be learning something and nobody really knew anything. But there was a missing. We were sent to that class because they knew there was a missing. But here's the great thing, being dyslexic, we're creative, we're sports people. I mean, 49% of entrepreneurs are dyslexic. And I was like one of the greatest in the sports field. So sports, I was first to be picked in the classroom. I wasn't even picked. And when I was, it was head down. Please don't pick me. Please don't pick me for reading out aloud. That was the worst thing ever. It was a whole load of stress. It was a case of being high in anxiety. And even if I got through that lesson, it's the next one. It's the next one. And it wasn't until I'd left school. The great thing about it, and this is where my creativity comes into it, I was always into photography, color picture. Makes sense now. I went straight into photography. Perfect. Even though I came from a family of medics, my parents didn't say anything. I left school, no exams. I just didn't get the concept of it. I didn't have enough time to even finish an exam. And that's the thing. It just didn't make sense to me. So leaving school, no exams, went straight into photography. And to be honest, it wasn't until many, many years later, I managed to scrape by. I knew the odd word here and there. I had enough to get through life. And it wasn't until my children were grown up, they were getting to the age of 8, 10, and I felt I failed as a parent. I could no longer help them with their homework. And believe you me, no parent wants to feel like that. And it got to a stage where I had to face my biggest fears. I had to go back to get an education. So there I was, 35, in college, with 16-year-olds. They used to tell me what they get up to. I was the agony aunt, and I was thinking, I've got children. I don't want to hear that. And it was terrible. But the great thing about it is they realized straight away. I mean, the teacher got me to do a piece of freehand writing. Now, when you're dyslexic and you can't spell, freehand writing is the most terrifying thing ever. And what I did is I was thinking, see, and I found this even in school, I always have to pick a subject, not because I want to, whether I could spell some of the words or not. If we do projects, I'll pick words that I know I can spell. I wasn't even interested in it, but it was words that I found I could write. So I did this 1 hour of creative writing. It was getting towards the hour was finishing up, and I was thinking, I haven't even written anything. I better write something. I was writing, scribbling out, and the teacher straight away realized from that 1 hour's piece of non-existent writing or scribbling, I was dyslexic. So she sent me across, and yes, they found me out. I had the test done. So at the age of 35, they realized I was dyslexic. And I said, okay, what's dyslexia? Tell me all about it. I'm open. And after finding out the research, doing all the tests, yes, I think my reading age was probably over 8-year-old, and spelling, but here's the thing about being dyslexic, the IQ levels are so high. Our IQ levels are above average. Just because we can't formulate it into written work doesn't mean that we're stupid. And we're creative. I mean, look at Richard Branson. Right. And we have Sir Alan Sugar. I mean, Steve Jobs. The list goes on. They're all dyslexic. Henry Ford. So I like to think I'm amongst some of the greatest people out there. And the
Absolutely.
thing is,
oh no, keep going.
Yeah. So the thing is, I resat all my GCSEs. Here over in England, we had GCSEs then with 16-year-olds. My core subjects, passed them. Once I knew how my brain works and how to tap into that creativity, that I'm a visual learner. Okay, maybe watching a video, YouTube. YouTube is my best friend if I need to learn anything, because I can visually see it and I can stop it, pause it, implement it, and then carry on. So I managed to pass all my GCSEs. I went on to do anatomy and physiology. I went on to do some other courses, passing them all. That was the great thing. I learned to read my first book. It was actually called, it was called Foreplay. And that's not even it was called Foreplay because it was about a woman going through a difficult time in her life. It was like a new starting point for her. She had choices after divorce of 4 different men. Now, that wasn't my story, but I could relate to it. And that was the first book I read at the age of 35, cover to cover.
Wow. Wow.
And it,
Yeah, when I hear your story, 2 words come up for me. One is around the power of accommodation. And when someone has what the world may see as a deficit, how other areas become the asset. And when I hear that and see that, I think it's broad spectrum. You know, first of all, what an evolution that we've had in the area of what people call learning disability. I never was comfortable with the word learning disability. I'm like, what? It's a, you know, it just seemed so, well, the word dis. I mean, just the word dis is to diss somebody now. You know, you hear teenagers go, yeah, we diss them or they dissed us or whatever it is, right? My son's in the streetwear, so, you know, diss, and it's like, it's almost like you disregard somebody. And so just the verbiage that we use around people that have differences, I call them learning differences, but what an evolution. And I can't imagine, I mean, I'm sitting here listening to your story and I'm listening to what that must have been like on the inside, you know, what it must have been like on the inside. We know we've heard people talk about being the last picked in sport, what that felt like. You wanted to be the last picked, you know, like what it feels like to stand there, that emotional, because you can't formulate. I mean, you're not an adult, you can't formulate what's going on. And then the relief of finding out that there is something and that you share that something with others. So I just want to take a moment and, you know, not even congratulate you, but just honor you for going through that experience. And then being brave enough to be able to go, okay, there's others there. There's others here. This was my story. Some people go through life never admitting they don't read, ever. You know, some people keep their secret, thinking that it's something to do with them. And I'm so glad that you didn't go into that place, or if you did, you didn't stay there long. So what a relief to find that out. And so tell me, 30 years ago, so, I mean, I'm looking at you, you're like beautiful and don't look old enough to be and 35 reading a first book. So from the time that you could read your first book, at what point did you decide that you were going to go into coaching? Like, where did that process happen?
So what happened was, and thank you for the compliment.
Yeah.
What happened was I decided I was going to do anatomy and physiology. I was going to go into nutrition. Being healthy out on the sports field, I knew enough about the body to go into nutrition. But here's the thing, I decided, okay, before I actually go ahead and embark on a university degree, I better find out if it's what I want to do. So I volunteered at our local hospital in the dietetics department. And they used to give me questionnaires to hand out to the patients, this and that. And it was then I realized, actually, I'm a people person. I want to help people. And I want to help people like me. So I went on to do coaching and youth coaching. So that's what made me realize, actually, I want to help the youth and I want to help adults. And it was that, and I've never looked back. So I went into coaching, did my coaching, got my certificates. And once I've done that, so I've been coaching for, a number of years now. So I've never looked back. And the amount of stories, like you say, it's an ability. It's an actual gift being dyslexic, because people say to me, oh, yeah, you think outside the box. My reply to that is, what box? What box?
Yay. That should be the name of this podcast. That's the name of your next book. What box? Right? Oh, and you know, so many people relate. Anita, thank you for sharing your story, because so many people relate. I used to get notes sent home saying, you know, Debbie, they called me Debbie, you know, Debbie doesn't focus, Debbie doesn't concentrate, Debbie daydreams, Debbie talks too much, right? And look what I do for a living. I'm a creative, I paint, I cook, I went into holistic health, I, you know, create businesses, and I talk for a living, you know. But they, you know, again, I can say, because I am around the date of 30 years starting, they just didn't look at anything that was not norm as an asset. it was very much, they didn't know how to work within that structure. I mean, now everything's different. You go to school and there's like, I mean, when my daughter had her first issue with a learning challenge, I took her to an Art and Gillingham tutor, and the first thing out of her mouth is she's like, there's 27 different ways that people learn, and if you're not learning, I'm not teaching you right. I was like, I actually broke into tears, because all of a sudden the onus went off of my daughter to perform in the way that was easier for the teacher. Nothing against teachers. We all learn what we learn. But here's someone that said, I have a plethora of tools, and we're just going to figure out which one fits you. So the world's very different. But the one thing that really caught my attention when you sent over your bio is that you really focus on people being able to stand in their authentic self. So owning their assets, and what the world would have called a deficit back then, now we call asset. And you say that you help them share themselves without fear, without, I wrote it down, I thought it was such a beautiful thing, without discrimination, without shame. So is there particular challenges that people need to overcome when they've got something that isn't received in the world as an asset, you think?
Yeah, definitely. Because they'll go, like you said earlier, it's about, they'll go into a shell. And that is so damaging, because there's so much out there that they can do better. They feel worthless, not good enough, self-belief, or, the list goes on. And it's a case of being authentic to who you are, owning who you are. Let's get it out there. Okay, you might just think differently. If people could realize learning is a different way for everyone, realistically, not everyone can be as bright as each other, but we can be as bright in our own way and shine our own light in a different way. It doesn't have to be the same way. Like, they say you can't judge a fish by climbing a tree. It's not gonna, I mean, there's so many different quotes, but I hope I got the quote. But yeah.
Yeah, that's another good name for a book for you. Not gonna. Not gonna. All right, we're gonna have you in a series soon. You're gonna have a book series by the end of this show.
Thank you.
Right. So tell us you are now a coach. What does that look like? There's a lot of different coaches in the world. There's a lot of people that focus on different things. So tell us about your coaching. What's your coaching style, or who's your client base? How can you help people?
Predominantly, my clients are either dyslexic, whether they're business owners. A lot of business owners gravitate towards me. It's good to have people that are in your arena and you can help them. So we think alike. And it's a case of, I've got a lot of clients that come to me that are 30 plus. They've had a bit of success, but they wanted a few more steps to get in further. Now, they don't have to be dyslexic. So it just varies. And coaching can be as simple as having a great conversation. It doesn't have to be all this, hard work. It's, let's have a conversation. Where are you stuck? And a lot of times people are hiding the thing they need to actually deal with. And that's where I come into. So I hid behind my dyslexia till I was 35. The pain had to be great enough for me to want to overcome it. I mean, like I said, who wants to fail their children? Nobody wants to fail as a parent.
Right.
And this is where people are coming and they want my help, and we can uncover their gifts. What is it you want to do truly? Or it's self-belief. What are you hiding? And it's being that authentic self. Own who you are. It's not a case of hiding it. So that's kind of a broad picture.
Yes, but it's broad, but it's very personal, and I think it lands for many of us, right? So whatever our difference has been, mine was apparently daydreaming, and not, I was really good in these subjects, not so good in these subjects, which I don't think is unusual either. Or and you couple that with all sorts of growing up. I call it the growing upness, not looking like this, not acting like this, not being good at this. And you have all that, and you start to kind of have that inside dialogue. And that inside dialogue is really why we talk a lot about mindset, right? So that setting your mind and when I hear you talk, it's almost like I feel like you set people free. It's like bring that stuff to the surface celebrate it, recognize it. And honestly, you're not the only one. You know, there's a lot of people with this condition or this condition. And I think it's really, I can see why people would gravitate to you. First of all, you're kind-hearted, you're smart, and you've also been there. And there's something very kin, you know, there's something very kin. Someone can help somebody that has been in that, which is why it's great when we give back in that area that we have so much experience in ourselves. So, so here you are. What was it like for your family? Like, how did your, like when you were, you know, you were dyslexic, did your like mom and dad know? Did your family know? Was there a relief for them at 35 as well? Like, how was that like for your family? And then, how did you manage to, you know, have these children? They're like, Mom, can you help us? Or like, what was that all like?
Well, the thing is, yeah, like I said earlier, having a family full of medics, I did feel a bit, oh my gosh, what happened to me? And my family were actually very supportive. They were okay. Because I think from a young age, I've always had the passion of photography, video camera. And my parents knew that, oh, Anita, and they were keen for me to do what I liked. Being the youngest, I don't think there was that much pressure on, you know, me from my family. And I think one of the biggest thing is I just did what was creative. You know, and I think that's, to be honest, it takes it into another level, because being behind the lens, and I always say this, plays a big part in psychology. If you've got a baby there that's crying and you tell them to smile for the camera, you can guarantee they're going to stop crying for the camera. They're going to smile. And once you've taken that photo, they will go back to crying. And I think that's my first real insight to thinking about, actually, it's the psychology behind the lens of a camera. So in a way, it kind of started developing into that. And I think I used to talk to my parents, I used to talk to my family, and it was really good. It was fine for me. And when my children were growing up, I don't think they really knew until I actually had to say to the children, right, I'm going to go back to college, I'm going to do evening classes. They said, yeah, do it. You know, there was never a lack of me really not being able to do anything. I just chose the things that I enjoyed. So nobody really saw it as, oh, Anita can't do this, because I wasn't interested in doing it.
Right. Right.
But it's not a surprise I've gone into psychology and gone into coaching, because that was my first real insight to how the mind works, and going into mindset coaching, because everything is down to the mindset. Everything. I mean, people want to lose weight. Well, okay, what's going on inside your head? It's not about what you're eating. What's the story behind it? And everything we do is about mindset. And I truly believe that.
So what do you do for yourself? You're obviously giving, and you share, and you inspire, and you motivate. And as we're kind of coming to the top of the hour, what are some of the things that you do for yourself to keep your mindset going? And then if there's anything that you can share with anyone out there that's going through anything similar, if there's some kind of tips, I mean, obviously we're going to give all the information for them to reach out to you, and I'm sure you're going to have that. But if you can, like, how do you take care of yourself? And if there's any tips, and I definitely have a last question for you that I think you're going to really enjoy, but yeah, take it from there.
Yeah, sure. For me, reading my first book at 35, and now I do a lot of reading. I would have never, ever thought I'd be an avid reader, ever. I've gone ahead and done speed reading classes. So that's something. You think, you know, if you can't do it, you really can. What is it you want to do? And there's audiobooks now. There's so much out there. You don't have to read them. It's just getting that knowledge. I would suggest to anyone that actually wants to learn anything, find out your learning style. If you're a visual learner, like I say, Google's YouTube is my first Google. Google comes after YouTube. If I want to see anything, I'll watch it. That's how I prefer. Find out what your learning style is and tap into it. Nothing is impossible.
Awesome. I agree with you. I have an intimate relationship with you too, right? That's where I get my motivation. That's where I get my, yes, people, I do watch your podcasts as well. or listen to your podcast, but I, much like you, I'm a visual learner. I need to see it. That's just how my brain works, particularly if it's flooded. If I'm going through, I just go to visual. So thank you so much. I do have one last question. Before I do that, please share with people how to reach you. We will have it in the show notes, but a lot of people are listening to you as they're making their dinner right now. They're going to grab a piece of paper and pen. And how can they reach you, Anita?
So you can either go to my website, which is Anita, ANITA, Mattu, MATTU.com. I'm on all the social media platforms. So the best place is to go to my website, because then you'll see the icons for my web social media, and you can connect with me through my website.
Okay, awesome. AnitaMattu.com. Okay, so here's the last question. You are going on a vacation, my dear. You are going to a desert island, and you're going on your own. And that's it. You're done. You're like, whoop, checking out. And you have room for one album in your suitcase. Which album would it be?
Ooh.
Mm.
Music, yeah? Music album.
Music, yeah, music album.
Okay, I think it would be the greatest hits of the 80s.
Oh, she gets the greatest hit of the. Okay, well, we can't deny that. Okay, but I'm going to dig a little deeper.
Okay.
If there was a band and it was that one band, because the 80s is pretty vast, and good on you. I've had people go, can I take my playlist? So if it was one band, one album, what would it be?
I think it would have to be Michael Jackson.
All right. Michael Jackson. Okay. Well, Anita, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thanks for your bravery. Appreciate that. I know just from knowing you that you are super sincere about helping other people. And just thank you, because that's important. The more we share, the more I think it breaks other people's barriers. And thank you for doing what you do, because honestly, that is a very special, that's specialist. You are the first person in my 30 years of being an entrepreneur that I know does work for people that have dyslexia. So thank you very much. And for you that are listening, I know you're listening because you guys are the best audience ever, because you contact me, you share these, you send in comments, and we so appreciate. So please share this, subscribe, and absolutely write a review. We want to know what you think. And if you want to be on the show, then pop onto the show. There is our up and coming planner and tracker. You guys have been wanting to throw in some quotes, and planner and tracker 2023 planner and tracker is, well, it's funny how we're releasing this now. So I'm just going to say now available because you can pre-order now. And by the time people listen to this, it is available. So 2023 Entrepreneur Day Planner. Please just contact us and we can get you hooked up. And thank you again so much, Anita. And thank you for being the best audience ever. And we will see you again next week. Keep the mission alive. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.